Welcome into a very exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is Josh from the Josh and Paulie Show. Welcome to the show, Josh.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Met you off of our podcaster group on Facebook, and we're just here rapping a little bit today. Why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about the show, and then we'll kind of pick up a conversation.
All right. I just want to say too, shout out to Mo Train on that podcasting group. He's been posting a lot. There's been hundreds of comments on all those posts, a lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration. So way cool of Mo. My podcast is a Would You Rather podcast. So me and Paulie basically started doing Would You Rather questions on the way to the gym every day. And we're like, these are too fun. Like we just had a ton of fun with them. So we decided to start writing them down and podcasting, and we started on a cell phone. Polly was recording on a cell phone using some little free editing app and putting them together. And from the start, we had some listeners, and I feel like that's another message I wanted to put out there is like if you're trying to start into podcasting, just do it. Don't worry about a perfect setup. You're gonna worry about it forever. Just start with what you got and then get some equipment from there, and eventually you'll have a nice pretty setup to work in. So.
Yeah, I love it. I love how it just started as a conversation between you guys. Yeah, I think what you were on your commute to work or something, you guys were, or at work.
Yeah, going to the gym.
Going to
Yeah.
the gym. Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's really the beauty of podcasting it is that it's just conversations, man. Like, and it could be about whatever interests you. And you touched on something key right off the bat there is like if you're thinking about it, just do it. You have a phone, you have you have everything you need on a phone to do everything. Is it going to be perfect to is it going to look like Joe Rogan's podcast? No, it's
Yeah.
not. The guy has all the money, right? Like
Right.
to
And he's
do
got Jamie
everything.
Vernon.
And actually,
Yeah.
the guy that designed his set is also in the group as well. Alex, I'm pretty sure is his name, but he's designed them for Theo and a lot of these cats, right? So just start a podcast, right? Record
Yeah.
you and your buddy asking stupid questions or talking about whatever you like to do. And that's really, you're going to fall in love with it. Like if you have that little bit of an inkling to do it, you already have it, right?
Yeah.
And the problem becomes you start worrying about comparing yourself to every other podcast out there, or you start to worry about, oh, well, I don't have the SM7B. I don't, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
you don't need that, right? Like I
Yeah.
happen to have one because I'm a musician. That's how my podcasting journey started. I was a songwriter. So as I'm releasing music and getting out there, I went to my friend's home studio on his podcast, and he was a 30-year radio vet. So he had a really nice, sweet setup and just a little room in his house. But I was like, hey, man, I got that. Hey, man, I got that. I was like, I got a podcast, don't I? And he was like, yes, you definitely do. He hooked me up with a Zoom P4, which this thing is amazing, right? Because I can go anywhere, battery powered. So I could start hitting music festivals and just setting up in a corner and doing it. And that's kind of how this whole thing started, right? And it doesn't matter how it starts. It matters how you finish and how you keep going with it. So how long have you guys been doing your podcast now?
Right about 2 years now.
That's amazing, man. We're
Yeah.
not even a year in with everything that we're building right now. So to think of like where we're going to be in another year of continuing to go and grow, that's just too cool.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
guys said you touch on some comedy stuff as well and just kind of touch current events. It's just two guys talking, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Just bullshitting. We'll cover a lot of controversial stuff too. I personally like to delve into the nuance of things, which tends to piss some people off, but that's all right. Um, I can't help it. And I'll joke about stuff that, people are like, you shouldn't joke about that. But that's the beauty of comedy is you can joke about whatever the hell you want on the internet. So
Do you are you involved in the comedy scene at all, or are you a comedian or
no, I've never done any stand up or anything. I really want to collaborate with some other comedians, honestly, but mostly I've collaborated with like a couple of what you call them, true crime podcasts, and then another podcast that does a lot of like sports stuff. But So I'm trying to get out there, collaborate with more people, find people that I can really do stuff with. We do the podcast once a week, which is awesome, but I feel like I could do more. Like I'm into it. You know, especially guesting on people's podcasts, it's a lot of fun because you don't have to edit it in the end, which is sweet. It's my least favorite part. So yeah.
No, that's cool. And I mean, that's how I ended up with four shows, right?
Yeah.
I started and right away, and especially with last year being, in the middle of an election cycle, I was like, man, I have a platform to talk about the stuff that I care about. Like I'm going to. And it kind of started bleeding into more of the music or podcasting short form interviews that I like to do, the 15, 20-minute interviews. And I was like, you should probably just start a new show. Probably just start a new one and let that hang. And now we have four of them. And it's just, I'm such a chameleon when it comes to communities, right? I can bounce in and out of different things, and I don't necessarily have to bring like all of my values with me to every community, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't have to be like, no, this is who I am and this is what it is. Like, I don't have to be like that everywhere I go. So it allows me to just do, like you said, collaborate with different people. We've had co-hosting, a couple different co-hosts on our programs now, and just trying stuff out. At the end of the day, it's our programming, right? It's our like what we want to do. So we do whatever we want to. So maybe we'll have to collaborate some more on getting you a co-host and finding a show. I love sports. I love comedy. I like so why stop? Why make your one thing the one thing when it's
Right.
so easy to just like start another channel on your YouTube? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like you even have to go and spend a lot more money to do another one.
Yeah, exactly. And I've, found a couple ways I was spending money on the podcast at first, and then after a while, I'm like, this is just a hobby. Like, and it's probably gonna be that for a while. So I cut out most of the stuff. Just learned recently that you can go on Spotify and share your share all your stuff through a feed to other platforms, and that's free. So that's what I do with that now. And so I'm spending $0 a month on the podcast. So that's nice.
That's
But it
amazing.
gets
And
to
I
that
think
level.
that's like what's stopping a lot of people from starting is thinking that they need to go spend, $1,000 on equipment and then it's going to cost you, $70 a month for Podbean or whatever one of the other programs, which I did as well, right? I jumped in and I didn't really know necessarily what I was doing. I just kind of taking the information that I had and doing the best I could with it. But then you
Yeah.
start learning, right? And
Right.
a year in, you're like, oh, I don't need a lot of this stuff that I'm paying for. And it's different. It's a vessel for ideas, right? At the essence, that's what a podcast is. But that vessel can look and feel a million different ways. And people that are doing a podcast to generate leads for their real estate business are different than two guys that are just trying to bullshit and have a good time with each other
Right.
for an hour or two a week, right? So I'm glad that you found those options. That's really what the scene projects is growing into. We kind of want to be a network for the common man. We don't necessarily want you to pay a bunch of money to be on it, but if you're interesting, we would like to feature that content on our programming and then get you out there talking about, oh, well, hey, I'm part of this network that draws in more listeners to this bigger thing and maybe keeps them in our universe more than just like listening to one podcast and then going. Right.
Yeah.
And then you build this whole larger community of podcasters that are all co-hosting or collaborating on different shows or just being around each other, being guests on other shows. And so, yeah, we're trying to build something that's a lot bigger. It was immediately when I started this because I knew I had already had shows within the show kind of built into my life. I had the interviews, but then I was also doing live events where we feature songwriters on stage and recording those. Well, it's like, well, that's really like its own thing. Well, but it didn't necessarily need its own feed until I was able to move on to a larger network that's like, well, here, we're going to take your one feed that you're paying for and we're going to give you five for the price of one. And it was like, okay, well, now I can kind of start to spread these out. So we're growing multiple shows and we're looking for other people, very similar to you, that people that are good at what they do, but not in a position to dedicate their whole lives to it like I
Right.
am. right? Like I'm all in on this thing. I have to make it work. I don't have a job. I don't want to go back to welding, right? Like I don't, and I loved the trade, but I don't love being told what to do, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So once we landed in this, it was like, well, how does this work? And how does a network kind of work? And what does that look like to have your own network of shows rather than just one program that you're trying to bring people into. I mean, ourselves, we got to 100 episodes in less than 6 months. Like having someone to talk to and doing content wasn't that hard for us, but now we want to get all 5 of those feeds to a daily, if not more than once daily, rolling, right? And all of these going and kind of growing everything right now under our one YouTube channel. So yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's way cool.
Yeah,
Make it like a radio station or a TV channel.
exactly. Exactly. Because that's what it is, Josh. Like it's mainstream media is dead in the water.
Oh
Like
yeah.
even our local news station here in South Dakota, they took a meeting with me and they're like, telling me their numbers. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
wow, that's not much at all. 15,000 viewers is what you have, and you're one of
That's
the 4
crazy.
stations in the state, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's not good. So
Well,
how do we capitalize on, them kind of coming down and us coming up and meeting in the middle because they're not going away, right? Like these broadcast stations aren't going away, but I feel like we can help each other. So we're trying to find those avenues to taking this all to TV, man. Like that's the big goal is
yeah.
infiltrating, if you will, the mainstream with content that we find is connecting with people. Yeah, and
Yeah, and then
that's
you can just slap that channel on and watch it all day if you want. No,
and
no lull, no interruption.
exactly. So yeah, we're getting more of our people into making, more 15 to 20 minute episodes rather than hour-long stuff all the time and to start to craft it into that. So a year from now, when mainstream media is in a casket at the like that
Right.
we can, come back and be like, "Hey, we have all of this content. We got a great following that we've built. Maybe we can resurrect you and this what you used to have and work together." And the fact that they're already interested in co-promoting some stuff with us is really cool. It shows you where things have gone in a relatively. I mean, I know podcasts have been around for a long time, but I mean, the last 5 years, you felt the swell growing, right? You
Oh yeah.
felt it as mainstream media was attacking Joe Rogan during COVID. You felt it as it was like, well, they couldn't cancel him like they did to everyone else. What's different about this?
Yeah.
And to watch that continue to grow, and then we all saw it over the course of the election cycle, right? You watch mainstream media and it's a close race and it's this and that, and then you get to the election and you're like, well, that wasn't true. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, how much have you been lying to us about everything? And now with the last couple of months coming out, you're like, oh, you've been lying about everything. You
Yeah.
like you have zero trust with anyone. And now you have all of these podcasters like us that just come out and we're real. We're fucking real people in our garage or in our spare bedroom, right? And we're hanging out and just talking with our friends and getting our thoughts and feelings out there because we're not going to be told what to do. We're not going to be told what to think anymore. And I think it really comes, I'm 39. It's definitely a generational thing, I would say. People in their 50s and 60s are not thinking like we are. I don't know how old you are, Josh, but I assume you're probably in your 30s as well or close to it.
Yeah, 34.
Yeah. It's guys like us that are changing this media scape because we're just kind of gave them the middle finger and said, hey, we're going to do what we want. We're going to talk about what we want. We don't care. And it's not costing us a penny. So you can
Yeah.
take your 100,000 watt radio tower that you're paying an ungodly amount just in electricity to run. And yeah, radio's dead. And now it's how do we, if the channels are dying off, then the advertisers that were working with those people need somewhere to put their money. So
Yeah.
let's be that. So developing all of these kind of advertising models, sponsorship models, the affiliate marketing and all of these things, that's what I've been working on, right? And then in the meantime, I get to jump on for 20 minutes with Josh and talk about his podcast and what they're doing and we all grow together. And that's really the bigger vision of what we have. And there is my sales pitch, Josh. I think I've
Very cool though. I like what you're doing. I've actually got this group on Facebook called the Pod Illuminati. It's a private group. There's a bunch of podcasters in there. Well, there's about 100 podcasters in there right now. And we all share and collaborate and talk amongst each other. But one of the biggest questions is where do you guys find sponsors? And we're all like, we don't. You know, it's that's something we haven't figured out yet. So I definitely welcome you to come check out that group and recruit some people from there too.
Yeah, well, and to just be a part of it. Communities is what this is about, right? Facebook groups are big for us because that's where people are gathering. And I'm sure there's some, I don't know about X. I've tried to engage there. I don't know what they're like. I'm old, man. I'm 39. I'm gonna be 39 in a few months. I've been on Facebook since kind of its inception, right? And
Yeah.
have you slowly built a following there. I'm not trying to abandon that to go somewhere else completely. We have an Instagram, we have those things, but I don't know how to use those channels to connect with people like we did, right? Where I was able to, with a few comments, now we're able to message each other, and 2 days later, you're on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that elsewhere yet. So always learning, always open to learning more and communicating and connecting with people, because that's how this thing is going to grow. It's going to be grassroots. It's going to be a lot of people doing the things that they're good at and bringing that to the community, and then going, hey, I'm not so good at this thing, right? Like I know affiliate marketing, but I don't know anything about production. And so where can I find someone who is the opposite of that or has, different skill sets? And that's kind of what we're trying to build, is a larger community of podcasters and just creatives, creative people that are trying to get their stuff out there, being able to teach those people, but then also realizing that there's plenty of money in starting these people that want to use this format to make money, right? So kind of a Robin Hood aspect. We're going to charge the people that can afford to pay it and are using it to grow a business, so that we can kind of support the creative people that are more just doing it for a hobby, but have really great content that we think needs to
Yeah.
be out there. So it's been an incredible journey. This is really, I mean, you're talking not even 2 months. It's not even the end of February. I've really only been working on this part of it for 70 days, maybe, like since the middle of December. So now that the vision is starting to take shape, and I'm on calls like this every day, right, Josh? Like this is my life now. It
Yeah.
becomes even more evident that this is what people want. This is what real talk is really what's hitting in the space. It seems like that, maybe not on the views side, but on the people starting it because they're being called to. You have a story. You have a story. It deserves to be told. We're going to teach you how to do it the most cost effective way possible if you just want to get that story out there. And then if you want to grow that into a following and you want to be Joe Rogan or something like you want to do that, okay, well, we're going to put you on that path to doing that. That takes a lot more money and time invested. And then if those creative people that we can help kind of just keep getting this stuff out there. I say this is how the world is changing. This is how God is speaking through us. This is how we're changing the world, is by changing ourselves. Each conversation, and I don't, for you guys it might be a little bit different because it's just kind of you and your buddy, but for me, I'm connecting with people all around the world every single day, and it's changing my thoughts on what the world is. It's
Oh
changing me.
yeah.
And if the podcast changes one person per episode, and that person is me, well, then that's already a successful podcast.
Right.
So when you start talking about, well, now these conversations can go out and connect with other people and change their lives, that's where this is really going to keep growing. And that's why I'm excited about next year. I was very fortunate, in this time to be nominated for a Content Creator of the Year award through an organization I'm a part of, the Midwest Country Music Organization. So to get a nomination for that in your first year of existence is definitely enough push to keep going for another year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, very cool.
And to just keep pumping. We've proven that we kind of like a little bit know what we're doing. We don't have 1 million subscribers on YouTube yet, but we're working towards it, and we're going to keep working towards learning and growing and then teaching other people how to do that, because that's what's important.
Yeah, and you said earlier about how we're legitimately changing the world by getting our ideas out there, and I think that's super important to think about. I've thought about this on the level of politics too for a while, and the things that change the most in politics, law-wise and all that, are things that the people are majority demanding. Who you elect, I don't think really plays as much of a role as what the majority of people think about a certain topic currently. So if you think a certain way about a certain topic and you can get 10,000 people to watch you talk about that thing, those 10,000 people are at least going to have it in their mind. They might go talk about that thing legitimately through the effect. It's going to exponentially increase that idea to the point where a lot more people have heard it, you know?
Well, and we've seen it. We've seen it with the death of woke, and not that I don't think some things in that movement, right? And even down to DEI, diversion, equity, inclusion. It sounds great. We're all about those three words. But what got Trojan horsed in with that, right? Which is what politicians do. The Patriot
Yeah.
Act. Oh, it's for your safety. Oh, by the way, we're spying on everyone, right?
Yeah.
Like, and without podcasts, we're stuck in that same matrix funded by our tax dollars that are propagating our entire nation and the entire world. Like, and that's why, especially the USAID stuff that came out in the last 30 days, where you're just like, oh, my whole life has been a lie. Everything
Yeah.
that I've consumed for 38 years was bullshit, was all bullshit. It was all coordinated. It was all orchestrated. And now we know. And without podcasts, without Joe Rogan, without these people, that never happens, man. That never
Yeah.
happens. And we're on a different timeline now than we would ever be without that, right? So now we realize that, right? So, Joe Rogan, when he started his podcast, he jokes about, it's him and his buddies hitting the volcano.
Yeah.
And that's how
You ever
that
see his
started.
first episode?
No, I've never gone back
He's
that
like
far.
he's like on his laptop just using whatever, I don't know, whatever was back then.
Right.
Uh, he's got like he's messing with the little snowflake video effects and stuff. He's like, oh, that's cool. He's just hanging out with Brian Redband in a room. Like, I guess
Yeah.
I'll try this. And then 1,000 people hop on and watch him. So he's like, all right, yeah, I guess I'll stick with this thing. People are into it. So
Right. Well, and for me, I had a little bit of local celebrity, right? I was a musician, I was out in a band, I was very connected in the music industry. So I came into it with the intention of that. Instead of, where they were like, we didn't know what we were doing for 10 years and we're just kind of doing it and whatever, it was fun. I came into it with the intention of, no, this is what we're going to do. We're going to run it and make it like a radio or TV station. And then we've run into other people that are doing a lot bigger things. The network that I'm a part of, the C Suite Radio Network and the C Suite TV Network, they just picked up the New York Stock Exchange whole programming. All of their programming is coming over onto this network that I'm on now. Our founder, Jeff Hazlett, is on CNBC every day. He has his own business show, or MSNBC. I can't remember which one it is, but eventually his goal is TV. And that's how he sells it. Is like, think of your show as TV. Think of it as this way, because that's where this is going. All of you independent creators out there are developing these shows that are going to be on these networks soon, because their old games and tactics don't work. And they're going to have to rethink the way that they're doing things. So keep going, man. Anybody with a podcast, well, like, just keep going right now, because we don't know where the industry is going. I think there's a 3 to 5 year bubble before this all kind of homogenizes, but the people who already have small followings or have really good content, or like, even if you don't have the following, but your production looks amazing, you're going to be at that top of that list, right? They call it headliners. Can you elevate yourself to that? So what I say that, like, the Scene Projects Network is kind of like the JV team to that squad, is that I'm going to develop a bunch of people off of the sidelines, get them in the game, and then who knows where any of these people go. Because if your content's good, we can work on production. If you have content that people are willing to support, right? And that's where sponsorships and things start coming in. Well, if we can get support for your content, then we can take your production level from here to here, no problem. It's not that hard. We know the pathways, but is the money there first? Instead of everyone going out and spending all the money to develop their own show, taking more of a collective approach to it. Just start making good content. Can you make a good show? Can you make this stuff interesting and get people to listen to that? Can you get me to listen to your programming? And then if that's possible, well, then you could hook anyone. And then we'll just
Yeah.
grow from there. And yeah, just to continue to connect with more people is kind of my goal. It's why I love doing interviews and having people on. And Josh, I think just the short conversation, I'd love to collaborate with you on our Patriot Broadcasting Project shows and to be able to talk about stuff that most people won't.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'd love to collaborate too, dude. I'm into it.
Yeah. Josh, why don't you tell everybody before I let you go where they can find the Josh and Paulie show and yeah, just kind of share a little bit more about what you guys got going on.
So you can check out the Josh and Paulie show on Spotify. We post our short clips on TikTok and Facebook. Not really on YouTube because we've had censoring issues over there. But Paulie talked about the vaccine one time, and we were just like discussing the conspiracy theory that they're trying to reduce the population of the world, and we were discussing it as if like this is just a conspiracy theory, but they booted the whole episode for that. So we were like, no more on
Yeah,
YouTube.
you won't do that to us again.
Yeah. So I got Slab Lab Gaming over on Twitch too. I develop little RPG video games over there, and so that's pretty fun. And then check out the Podluminati on Facebook. We will let you in if you're not a podcast promoter. You sound like maybe you're helping promote podcasts, but you're not the kind of podcast promoter we're talking about. I think you know the kind of podcast
Oh, we've
promoter we're
seen them.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So yeah, we accept everybody over at the Podluminati. Even if you don't have a podcast yet and you're thinking about starting one, you can come and check us out. We're trying to help, just share everybody's stuff and get it out there. So
Awesome. Well, Josh, I appreciate you being on the show today and for being part of the scene.
yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.